of the things that we did in this collection was use archive material that we then responded to. And in other parts with that has been, maybe we've taken something physical and done a blackout poem over the top of it, or we've used Turing's research to make some sort of computational model, produced an image, and used that in our, in the algorithm I was using to create poems. There's lots of different ways that we've used it. And as we're speaking about in other areas of these poems, the thing that we were really interested in is when we take Turing's words in his papers or his letters out of the context that they were written in, you still get to see something else, some underlying part of what's going on in his life behind the words, which we found really interesting. The one place where we found this really difficult to do was in the letters that were written to Sara Turing, so that was Alan Turing's mother, after his death. So these are not Alan's words. And so we kind of lost, once he's died and we're looking through that personal correspondence in the archive, we've lost his voice really. But we still kind of wanted to have a response that paid tribute to exactly, how the community around him felt after his death. Some of these letters, Sara Turing gifted them to the King's College Archive, but some of these letters she has gone through and she has redacted because whatever was in them, she obviously didn't feel was a fitting tribute to her son. So one of these letters, there's quite a lot of things redacted, and I was quite interested in playing around with it and trying to figure out what it was that she had taken away that she really didn't want other people to see. But I really struggled to do it. And I think it was because, I got so used to reading Turing's words that I just didn't really have the same connection when I was reading, somebody else's words. And also I kind of felt like she had gone to, such lengths to redact the words that it felt quite emotional trying to uncover that, because I wasn't just uncovering the words that the letter writer had written. I was also kind of probing into what she felt uncomfortable writing. And so I struggled to have a response to this. But I think what's really interesting about that is that a machine just does not have that same trouble. And so what I did was I took the contents of that letter and I put them into OpenAI's GPT-3. And I said, could you please tell me what you think is missing in that letter? What has been removed? And then GPT gave me the words that you can see on the screen. And they're not particularly poetic. The machine is obviously trying to use the tone of the letter and then fill in the context. And it does a pretty good job. It's sort of remarkable exactly what it can do. And I think Turing himself would have been, quite impressed, considering he thought a machine would be limited by, trying to write a poem. And then again, as a poet, much like when I was working with those algorithms that, that were producing poems from the images, at some point, I was only left with white space to play around with. And when I'm using GPT-3 to create something, that is literally all I have left. I only have white space left to play with. And so what I decided to do was to tell, much like, we were interested in probing Turing's words and finding what was behind them. And then I struggled trying to probe this letter writer's words and what was behind them. And then also the stuff that Sara Turing had redacted. I then actually just took what GPT-3 had output and then tried to separate out parts of that to see if I could understand, all of those people that contributed to this letter, including the artificial intelligence. And so what you can see on the screen is actually one poem if you read everything across, or two separate poems if you read the left-hand side and then the right-hand side. So I'm going to read the two separate sides separately. A thinking machine impersonating a friend. I was very grieved. It is always difficult to judge, and one is sure that one is doing good. What Alan did was a new way of looking at things, and that by the accepted conventions. It is sometimes only after someone has died that one begins to appreciate the full significance of done. And when he died, the effects of one's works can never be any, but I think that to open up, to show there is no need to be bound. This is a very important thing, and one begins to appreciate what he has. And I'm just going to read the whole thing together. And I was very grieved when he died. It is always difficult to judge the effects of one's work, and one can never be sure that one is doing any good. But I think that what Alan did was to open up a new way of looking at things and to show that there is no need to be bound by the accepted conventions. This is a very important thing, and it is sometimes only after someone has died that one begins to appreciate the full significance of what he has done.